Good morning. My name is Kim Shokoya. I am the Associate Dean for Graduate and Executive Education for the Jones College of Business. Welcome to the Fall 2018 orientation for the Jones College Graduate Business Studies. So all of you in here are in one of our programs. What we're going to do this morning is we're going to have the Dean welcome you, the Dean of the College welcome you, and I will introduce him in a minute. Then we will have Dr. Douglas from the Graduate College of, from the Graduate School, okay, also welcome you. And then we will have a session on leadership training for everybody. Then we'll take a break, and then we'll break out into, different programs. By that time, all your program directors will be here. All the rooms that you're going to use are down the hall. And then I think the MBA students are going to stay in here, all right? We should be out of here by noon or even before noon, okay? So thanks again for coming. Let me introduce one person before I introduce the Dean. Allison. Come on in, Allison, come in. Okay, I gotta do this, all right? Because I don't want to forget this. This is Miss Allison Ball. She is in our office. All of the stuff that you've seen this morning, she's planned for it, okay? So please thank her for doing this, all right? Yeah. Okay. All right, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. David Urban. He is the Dean of the College of Business, and he's been here 5 years, all right? So please welcome the Dean of the College of Business.
Well, all right. Are we fired up? Yeah. You bet we are. All right, that's great. My name is David Urban. I'm the Dean of the Jones College of Business, and as Kim said, I've been here for 5 years. Just passed the 5-year mark on July 1. One of the best things I've ever done in my life was to come here to be the Dean of the Jones College of Business. I see some familiar faces in the audience, people who have had the pleasure, I think, of having me as an instructor at some point during their MTSU careers. How many people here have a prior degree from Middle Tennessee State University? Okay, great. All right, that's good. And so some of you who have been here at MTSU before may have heard bits and pieces of what I'm about to say, but some things bear repeating. So bear with me if you've heard some of this stuff before. I want to take a few minutes just to tell you a little bit about the Jones College that maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't, but they are things that we think are particularly useful when we start out in the Jones College, particularly as a graduate student. First of all, about the Jones College. The Jones College of Business is the only named college at Middle Tennessee State University. It's the only college with somebody's name on it. And our namesake is a person by the name of Jennings A. Jones. Jennings was quite a guy. For those of you who aren't from around here, Jennings Jones was a former mayor of Murfreesboro. He was a very successful entrepreneur and business person. He was a philanthropist. He was really into urban and regional planning. He was a real visionary. You know, the story goes that he came up with the idea for Old Fort Parkway, State Route 96, flying around Murfreesboro in a private plane and seeing that there needed to be an artery that went out there to the west. He also was very interested in helping young people to develop personally and professionally. And so we have a couple of professorships here in the Jones College that are named after him. The Jones Foundation, the charitable foundation that Jennings and his wife Rebecca Jones started some years ago, continues to benefit the Jones College because we annually get funding from that foundation to support a variety of different programs that we have. So it's really an ongoing legacy that Jennings Jones and his family have bestowed upon us, and we're really proud to have him as the namesake of our college. more about that in just a minute. One of the things that we pride ourselves on here in the Jones College is that we are, in every sense, a market-driven college of business. I have been here now 5 years, or just over 5 years, and during that time, we have made dramatic improvements to just about all of our graduate programs. Probably the biggest changes that we've made have been to the MBA, but all of our graduate degree programs have been significantly altered over the last 5 years. And the alterations were not done just because we felt like doing them. Everything that we have done to improve our programs is drawn from what we have heard from people like you, people who have gone through our programs and gone on to bigger and better things, other alumni that we've had, other people in the business community here in Middle Tennessee and elsewhere. But over the past 5 years, I have made literally hundreds of visits to people out there in the business community here and beyond. And every time I do that, it's not just an opportunity for me to sell those businesses on how good you all are, having been through our programs, but it's an opportunity for me to gain some market intelligence about what we can do to make our programs even better, okay? And so when it comes to our responsiveness to the needs of the business community, we're out there day in and day out trying to figure out how we can improve what we do. I will also tell you that we have some nice advantages here, okay, as a college of business. One of the things about our graduate program is that we have, regardless of what program you're in, the classes are not very big. The class sizes are pretty small. So what that means is two things. Number one, you're not going to be able to hide. I mean, you're not going to be able to sit in the back of a big lecture hall like this and kind of be invisible. That's one thing. The second thing is that it's a great opportunity for you all because it gives you that much more of an opportunity to interact with our faculty, our staff, people who can help you get where you need to go. And the nice thing about graduate school is everybody's here for a reason. That's one of the biggest differences, and maybe the biggest difference between being an undergraduate and being a graduate student. In your undergraduate career, you probably knew a lot of people who were just kind of walking around in a fog. They kind of knew they were supposed to be in college, but they really didn't know why. There's a reason why people go the extra mile and go to grad school and pay the money and take the time to do what you all are doing. And it's because you have much more of a crystallized vision of where you want to go. And that's a commonality that makes graduate school way fun because people are more committed to the task at hand. And it makes things like group work and projects and things like that much more enjoyable because everybody's kind of got some skin in the game. And everybody knows that they're here to move onward and upward. So that's great. So you got fairly small classes here, and the nice thing is your graduate coordinators in the different departments for the different programs, along with Kim and Allison and me, are all there to support you in where you need to go and in helping you to propel yourself forward. So the opportunity is there for you all to develop much deeper relationships with the people who are helping you than you might at a really big school. Just to give you an example, okay, I went to graduate school at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And when I was there, I remember in our MBA program at Michigan, the most popular MBA elective was taught in my department. I was a marketing guy. And we used to teach a course called Strategic Marketing Management. Okay? And strategic was the most popular elective in the MBA program. We used to teach it in the fall. We ran 4 sections, 65 in a section. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a class here in our graduate program that's got that many students in it. Okay? That was, remember, an elective, okay, with 65 students in the class. You can imagine what the required classes were like, okay? So that's a really nice thing about what we have going here, the opportunity to have that much more interaction with your colleagues and with the people who are here to help you. If I were to offer you any piece of advice as you start out on this journey, I would urge you not just to take the opportunity to get to know the people on our faculty and staff who can help you, but also get to know your colleagues and work with them. Because one of the things about grad school that is also different from the undergraduate days is that you may well learn just as much, maybe even more, from your colleagues than you do from us, okay? And that's another really cool thing about being in graduate school. Everybody is kind of pulling together, and we all have that opportunity to interact. So please take advantage of that, because I think it's a really good thing. I want to mention one more thing about our college that I think it's really important for you to get right off the top. This is an internationally accredited College of Business. The most prestigious accrediting body for business schools all over the world is an organization called AACSB International. AACSB is headquartered in Tampa, Florida. It's also got an office in Singapore, and it's also got an office in the Netherlands. AACSB provides the gold standard of quality control for business schools around the world. If a college of business that does not have AACSB accreditation decides we want to go get that, it takes 5 years to get it. And once you get it, then every 5 years, AACSB does what is called a continuous improvement review, which means that deans from other business schools show up at your College of Business, and they kind of go through everything that you do. Okay? Your administrative processes, your admissions processes, your programs, your curriculum, you name it, they go through it. And I've been on those site visits. I've been on the receiving end of them, and I've been on the delivering end of them. I've got one coming up, as a matter of fact, here in February at Ohio University. And I also have one coming up the year after that at Central Michigan. Okay? But here's the deal. Of the thousands and thousands and thousands of business schools that there are around the world, only about 5% of them are AACSB accredited. And we're in the 5%. But we've been there for a long time. But we actually occupy an even higher plane when it comes to the AACSB pecking order. One of the things that AACSB does, in addition to accrediting business programs as a whole, they also accredit accounting programs separately. And there are only 186 business schools in the world that have double accreditation from AACSB for business and accounting. And the Jones College of Business is one of those 186. So, the first thing to remember is that if anybody ever tries to cast doubt on whether or not you got a world-class business education in your graduate program, then you set them straight, because we've got the goods to back it up, okay? And as a matter of fact, we went through our last accreditation review. They call it a continuous improvement review. Went through our last review 2.5 years ago, and we got another one coming up 2.5 years down the road. So it almost really never stops. But that's what continuous quality improvement is all about. We should always be looking to try and get better, even if it means raising the bar on ourselves. Okay, so you all are in a very elite category when it comes to the type of business program that you're in. The second thing I want to mention to you from the outset, and it relates back to our namesake, Jennings A. Jones. One of the things that we have really been working on here over the past 5.5 years is the name recognition and branding for the Jones College of Business. Part of that is things like these lapel pins that we wear and the name tags that we wear. Part of it, if you listen to NPR or if you listen to a Tennessee Titans radio broadcast, you'll hear advertising for our graduate programs. You'll see advertising at the Nashville airport for our programs. We have a big venue down there at Southwest Baggage Claim, as a matter of fact. So a lot of people see it. And we've done a lot of other things over time. We've done a lot of online marketing. We've got something coming out. We've got a 4 series of 4 quarterly inserts. They're going to be in the Nashville Business Journal starting next month. We've done a lot in that regard. And the good news is that we've really been trying to push the name of the Jones College. A lot of great business schools around the country are known just by the namesake of the business school. And you don't even have to ask where that business school is. Everybody knows that the Wharton School is at the University of Pennsylvania. Everybody knows that the Anderson School is at UCLA. Everybody knows that the Ross School is at Michigan, and so on down the line. What we want here at Middle Tennessee State University is we want that same level of brand recognition and quality connotation that those other places have. So in other words, if you start to say to somebody, I'm a student in the Jones College of Business, what we want is for the person to whom you're speaking to interrupt you and say, that's at Middle Tennessee State, right? That's what we want. And I'm here to tell you that we're getting some traction, along those lines. When I got here, the name was in place, but nobody on this campus called this college the Jones College of Business. And we've been turning that around, but externally it's working too. One of the things that's really cool is that we have to fill out the rating sheets or the surveys for things like the U.S. News and World Report rankings year after year. When I first got here, the way it is that the survey is listed by business school. So it lists the name of the university, and then if there's a namesake for the business school, in parentheses, it has the name. So in other words, University of Pennsylvania, parentheses, Wharton. University of Virginia, parentheses, Darden, things like that. When I got here, all it said was Middle Tennessee State University. Now, it says Middle Tennessee State University, Jones. And I didn't tell them to do that. Nobody here called U.S. News and World Report and said, change that. They just did it. Why? Because our branding strategy is getting penetration. So you all can help me with this, and I hope you will. And here's how. Somebody asks you where you go to school, the answer is not MTSU. And the answer is certainly not Middle. And if they heard me say that over in the Cope Administration Building, they'd probably have a heart attack, but it ain't Middle, okay? Where you go to school is the Jones College of Business at Middle Tennessee State University. So if somebody asks you where you go to school, that's what you have to tell them. I'm in the Jones College of Business at Middle Tennessee State University. Why do we need to do that? Because the more we do that, the more we become ambassadors for our institution, the more our branding strategy takes hold, okay? And it's working, so we got to keep it going. And so I ask for your assistance as far as that is concerned. Last thing I'll leave you with is that every time I go to these, you know, it kind of chokes me up a little bit, because I think back many years to when I started grad school, and I went to the orientation kind of like this and kind of looked around, and you know, then you walk in, you don't know a soul, but you know, over a period of time, you get to know people, you get to know the faculty, and it just pumps you up every day, you know, go in there and learn stuff. So much so that before my mother passed away a few years ago, I told her, I was having a conversation with my father. I was trying to get him to go back to school and finish his undergraduate degree. And I said to him, you know, Dad, when I retire, I think I might go to law school, because I've always wanted the knowledge. In fact, when I went to college, I thought I would be a history major and go to law school when I graduated, just like a lot of people who went to school when I did. But I kind of got a detour and ended up getting a PhD in business, right? But I've always kind of wanted to do that. And so I said to my father, I said, I might be 70 years old and be in law school. And my mother, who had been working on something in the kitchen, turned around and looked at me and said, "You've had enough school." And I said, "Yes, but you didn't have to pay for any of it, right?" I said, but that was the point, you know? I mean, you kind of, there is nothing like the intellectual stimulation that you'll get from being in a graduate program with people who are smart and committed and driven and who want to get better. It's all about quality and commitment and service and excellence. And so I envy you, and I wish you well, and you're in good hands. And if there's anything else that I can do for you personally, or that our staff and our faculty can do, please let us know, because we're here to help, okay? Thank you, good luck. I'll turn you over to Dr. Sequoia.
I think Mr. John over there is going to wire Dr. Douglas. But while they're doing that, I'm going to introduce Dr. Douglas. When you are all getting ready to come to school here, you apply through the College of Graduate Studies. You all remember that? All right. So what we do is, in conjunction with the College of Graduate Studies, your program is managed in the College of Business. But also, you have to go through some stuff with the College of Graduate Studies. In fact, you don't get your degree unless what? They put a stamp on it. And so that is why we have Dr. Douglas come to talk to us. She will spend a few minutes letting you know what you need to know about the College of Graduate Studies as it pertains to your degree. There are some new regulations that she will mention. Dr. Douglas is the Associate Dean for the College of Graduate Studies. And I think she's been at MTSU now about a year and a half. So she will come and bring word from the College of Graduate Studies while she's been wired there, okay? So, Dr. Douglas.
I get to make a grand entrance. Good morning. Everybody awake? Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. Sequoia and Dean Urban, and now in his absence. I'm Kimberly Douglas. I'm the Associate Dean in the College of Graduate Studies, and welcome to MTSU. We are honored to have you, and we are grateful that you have chosen us and have chosen to participate in one of our esteemed graduate programs. I bring you greetings from the Dean of the College of Graduate Study, Dr. David Butler, who is also the Vice Provost for Research here at Middle Tennessee State University. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the College of Graduate Studies. So we provide support to the academic programs. We are not an academic program. And in providing support to the programs, we also provide support to the students, which means that we support you throughout what we call the student life cycle. And the student life cycle began with your first inquiry or the first contact that you have with us. So we help with applications and processing, but it goes all the way through the graduation process. So we process you out as well. We offer around 100 degrees and certificates here at Middle Tennessee State University, but of course, you've chosen the perfect one for you. We also staff up to about 10 people who can assist you with various needs that you have. We have what are called graduate analysts, and the graduate analyst for the Jones College of Business is Miss Alora Davis. She can be reached at elora.davis, D-A-V-I-S, at mtsu.edu. I promise you, you will be contacting her and talking with her throughout your time here, so make sure you hold on to her information. We also work through the Graduate Council to make sure that we're delivering you quality curriculum and also making sure that you have an overall quality education and experience here and that you're served well. Before I move forward, I want to make two announcements. Number one, the College of Graduate Studies is holding its own orientation Wednesday, August 22nd at 9 a.m. It is not required, but it is available, just to provide you additional information about being successful in your graduate studies. We would love to have you. If you have not done so, you can go to our website and fill out a web form to RSVP just to let us know you're coming. So we'll know how much food to order. So if you don't RSVP, don't eat if you show up, okay? All right, so the second thing I want to make sure I announce, Dr. Sequoia specifically asked me to talk about this, and this is the institutionalization of DegreeWorks here at Middle Tennessee State University. So DegreeWorks is a program that helps us track what we call a degree plan. So by now, or in the very near future, you should have sat down with your advisor and talked with him or her in depth about your course of study that you will take over the next 2 years or so here. So you should have mapped out all of your courses, or you will map out all your courses. DegreeWorks stores those courses. And so we can look at any given time and track what % of your courses you've actually taken and courses that you have fulfilled requirements for. And it intersects or interacts or interoperates with a program called the Course Plan of Study. And Course Plan of Study looks at DegreeWorks and it says to DegreeWorks that, or DegreeWorks says to Course Plan of Study that certain courses are what we call aid eligible. So some of you will be supporting your graduate education through federal funding, through federal financial aid loans. So it's very, very important that you understand this. The federal government will not pay for courses that do not show up in your degree plan, okay? And also, double check to make sure any course that is on your degree plan is actually aid eligible, because those courses have to work towards a degree. So underwater basket weaving always gets a bad rap. So I'll use that as an example. So the federal government would not pay for that as part of your curriculum if it did not factor towards earning that degree. So be very careful. Make sure you're talking with your advisors early and often. Go to your advisors and talk to them before the early registration. Make sure you have a conversation with them about exactly what is required, where you are at this given time, where you need to go, how do you get towards graduation. So make sure you're very explicit in that conversation about what it is you need, okay? So you'll be hearing more about that, and you'll also be able to track your own development through DegreeWorks. Okay, so you will receive lots of advice and information today. I want you to associate the advice I give you with crossword puzzles. Let's say, look at the age. Do you all know what that is? Right? So for some people, these are in paper. For some people, these are online. So every Monday through Saturday, I work the Tennessean crossword puzzle. I like the paper, the feel of the actual paper. And I do realize that some people, this is a completely online experience. On Sundays, I work the USA Today puzzle. Most of the times I'm able to get through the Tennessee and the USA Today. And I slop my way through the New York Times and the LA Times, but I'm getting better. So just like anything else, working a puzzle is a skill, and I can learn more about it and learn it better as time goes on. But one day, I was working a puzzle, and it occurred to me that there are several life lessons that I could take and share from working crossword puzzles. And what I'd like to do is share this with you as a framework for success in the graduate program. So there are 5 lessons. So lesson number 1, sometimes it's important to put your work down and come back with fresh eyes. And you can gain fresh eyes sometimes by taking a breath, or eating, or dealing with other emotions and feelings that you have. So many times when I've worked a crossword puzzle, it's just absolutely busted my brain. And it's amazing how I can come back 20 minutes later and see a word with perfect clarity that I could not see 20 minutes earlier. So if you reach an impasse with one of your classmates, think about how you can step away and come back to the conversation with fresh eyes. If you're trying to understand a concept that a faculty member is trying to share with you, think about, or maybe don't think about it. Just kind of relax and maybe reflect or not, and come back to it with fresh eyes. Lesson number 2. Sometimes your learning experience depends upon what you already know. So take time to read, to observe, and provide yourself with new experiences. So Dean Urban mentioned this earlier. He talked about how you will learn as much from each other as you do from the faculty members who teach your courses. So there's a learning theory called, that talks about activating prior knowledge. So what's going to happen is you'll receive a lot of information, and that information you're not an empty vessel. So that information is going to be married up with things that you already know, the clues that you already have in your head to create new knowledge. So integrate new knowledge, new context, new experiences. It's been amazing how experiences help me see words in crossword puzzles that are seemingly unrelated letters. So who knew that I knew the meaning of sobriquet, right? That's a word you use every day? Okay, yeah, okay. So draw on your knowledge to make meaning for yourself and for other people. The third lesson is that past achievements do matter, but it's important to recognize what is needed now. So you may need to, in graduate studies, exert more energy than you've exerted in the past. The questions are bigger, the stakes are higher. So in working crossword puzzles, I've learned to move from block to block. And in one block, I can self-congratulate because I finished one block. But it doesn't necessarily mean I'll have success at the next block. So I have to refresh and think about what is needed in this new block. The fourth lesson is that you can never fully erase the traces of prior decisions. So for those of us who still use paper to work on crossword puzzles, there are eraser marks. Those of you who work crossword puzzles online, you see sometimes they attach a score to how fast you do it or how many failed attempts you make. So there are always traces of prior decisions. So decisions about whether to do your coursework or not do your coursework, how much effort you put into your coursework, how you communicate with your professors. There are remnants of that throughout graduate studies and also throughout your life. I think Dean Urban alluded to this, that you're not just here as students, but you're also starting to form or continuing to form your professional network. So think about how you can collaborate with the people who are in this room who may not necessarily be in the same program that you're in, but people you can connect with through projects and common interest. So number 5 is the big one for me. It's about assumptions. So I have been known in working a crossword puzzle to make up words such as FLERB, F-L-E-R-B. Just to get the B I needed for the word swab, for example, because I was dead set on making swab the word I needed to work around. So the message I want to leave with you is to take notice of how you and others try to make your answers fit your assumptions. So assumptions essentially are frames for us. Your current frame blocks out new answers. You have to break the frame sometimes and start all over again. I literally have had to erase words before I could see new possibilities. They just were not there for me because my assumptions were in the way. Your assumptions also shape your context or your understanding of context. So recently I struggled with the clue. It said be participant, B-E-E participant. So if someone gave you the clue, B-E-E participant, what would you think? What would you think about? What context? Yeah. So all I could think about was this kid trying to come up with spell this 20-letter word. That's all I could think about. But then I stepped away and I came back to it and I was like, ugh, what other kind of bees are there? What's that? Yes, but away from the insect. Well, right, so that's another kind. Yeah. So anybody in here over 40? Like this one, so I thought about the spelling bee and I thought about the insect. Anybody in here make quilts? Right, exactly. That was exactly, I was like, oh, there's a U here, which means that there's more likely to be a Q somewhere around. And it was like once I could see that, I had a whole different context, I could move on with the word. But all I could think about was this kid or the insect. So the assumptions that you use determine the context that you apply. And the context that you apply will determine the questions that you ask. Voltaire said that you judge a man by his questions rather than by his answers. So I encourage you to position yourself to ask the questions that make meaning in your life and in your work and in the lives of others. When you get stumped, when you get frustrated, which will happen, when you feel defeated, I want you to just think about the crossword puzzle and think about the lessons that it offers you. Again, I want to say thank you for choosing us. The College of Graduate Studies is here to be of service to you. You can reach me at my email address. I will leave my cards out front, but it's kimberly.douglas with 2 S's at mtsu.edu. But again, I'll leave my card and I'll also leave some swag for you as well. And I hope you have a positive experience here at the university. We wish you the best and let us know if we can be of service to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Douglas. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the whole program for everybody, and then Dr. Raffo is going to come in. But while she is getting unwired and he is getting wired, I am going to go through some of this. There are some dates that I need for you all to be aware of. There are some things that we all need to do. And so let me go ahead and start with that. Okay. There are a number of graduate programs, and I think this is in your, this is in your handout. there are a number of graduate programs in the Jones College. Okay, accounting and finance and information systems. And you all have, each one of your group, okay, you will have your own program advisors, all right? You need to know who they are, and you can probably read this, okay? You need to know where their offices are. Dr. Douglas talked about the degree plan. You need to make sure that you sign a degree plan before you start your program. Especially if you're getting financial aid, make sure that all the courses that are on your degree plan is what you need, not only to get your degree, but also to get your what? Financial aid. Okay, if there's a course on your, what do you call it, that you are taking that is not part of your degree plan, okay, then it will not be paid for by financial aid. So you need to kind of work that out. Okay, and the program directors will let you know that. So these are the what do you call information for each program director, where their offices are. For MBA students, okay, which the majority of you, you can talk to me or you can talk to Allison, okay? Allison probably knows a whole lot more than I do, okay? I just put on the tie. All right, so make sure that you know your program, okay, advisors, and make sure that you talk to them all the time about what you need to do, all right? Next one, dates. These are important dates, all right? You will not have the opportunity to see us every time, but you need to know these dates. If you do not, okay, meet these deadlines, then you may be missing something. So when classes start, when registration is, when is the last day to drop a particular class. Okay, Allison has provided you this information. There is a website where you can get the academic calendar. You need to make sure, all right, if you're going to drop a class, which I hope you don't, but make sure you drop the class before what? The deadline. All right, and if you drop in a class, make sure you sign the papers. Okay, don't just walk away. We had students just walk away and they go, I dropped the class. We don't have a record of it. The professor gives you an F at the end of the semester, and you go, I've dropped the class. No, you've not. All right? So please make sure that you remember, okay, all of these dates. Okay, very, very important, very, very important, all right? And again, there is a website where you can see the academic calendar. The next thing I want to talk to you about, I'm going to get some help from. Dr. Urban mentioned this, okay, that the Jones College is accredited by AACSB. I think he also mentioned this, that the Jones College is the only named what? College at MTSU. I don't think he mentioned this, and if he did, I'm going to emphasize this. The Jones College is also the only professional school at MTSU. All right, we don't have a College of Engineering, we don't have a College of Medicine, okay, but we have a College of Business. One of the things that we are doing, okay, as part of our continuous improvement is to emphasize professionalism. Okay, this is part of what we want to be like, plus it is also a part of what? Being part of that AACSB. At the Jones College, we have a number of administrators. One administrator that is in charge of this professionalism and assessment at the Jones College is Dr. Sean Salter. And I've invited him to come this morning to talk to you a little bit about professionalism in the Jones College of Business. So please welcome Dr. Salter.
Thank you, Dr. Sequoia. Good morning. Dr. Sequoia told you that I'm here to speak about professionalism and the professionalism initiative here in the Jones College. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of background about why we're doing this. We are a professional school. We are the only professional school right now on the campus, and our graduates flow into professions. You know, you might get an English degree and you might go any number of ways. It doesn't necessarily lead to a particular career path, but if you get into marketing, it's pretty clear where you're going to be headed. So that's number one. But a couple years ago, we sat down with a round table of hiring managers, hiring professionals, people who actually interview and hire people for positions from major corporations. And I'm going to name a couple, and you might have heard of them. You might have heard of UBS in Nashville, the largest now financial employer in Nashville. You might have heard of Cat Financial. You might have heard of Bridgestone, right? Nissan. We sat down with hiring managers from these types of companies, and we talked to them about what we need to do to improve things for our students. And they didn't say they need another accounting class. And they didn't say they need another marketing class. What they said was, your students need soft skills. We said, what do you mean exactly soft skills? I think we know what we mean, but let's just make sure. And they told us stories about people that got hired from good schools into their organization. And a couple weeks into, one story I remember is a couple weeks into the job, this new hire sits down and writes an email to the CEO. Hey Dave, I've got a couple ideas about how things could work better here. Thought I'd share them with you. Now you can imagine how mortified the hiring manager was who hired that individual. So they said, we've got to get across some things about how to navigate the corporate environment, the working world, that aren't printed in textbooks. When I was a young person, my father told me there's a lot more to learn in college than what's in the books. And that's doubly true when you enter a graduate program, whether it's an MBA program, a specialized master's program like accounting, information systems, finance. Those are going to be really, really important lessons to learn. So the college faculty got together, circled back and said, all right, well, we're going to do some more work on it. And after about a year's worth of work, meeting pretty consistently, talking to a lot of employers, we came up with a professionalism initiative that starts with this poster that I have over here on the board. Now, these are going to be installed in all of the classrooms in this building before classes start this fall. So this next week's going to be pretty busy with getting these things up. But what this poster does is it communicates the definition of professionalism. The Jones College of Business is a professional school. In the Jones College of Business, students will exhibit the following behaviors: a solid work ethic that is hallmarked by preparation, punctuality, participation, and productivity. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. They're also going to have respectful and courteous interaction. Going to have ethical conduct, and then going to have business appropriate behavior, which is kind of a flexible thing depending on where you're going to go to work. But how you dress, the words that you choose, and the demeanor or the attitude that you purvey. Those are things that employers have told us we need to make sure that everybody gets. Now, Dr. Sequoia said I'm the Assistant Dean for Assessment and Assurance of Learning, but what he didn't tell you is that I'm also a certified Dale Carnegie trainer. I deliver the Dale Carnegie course here to our undergraduate students in addition to teaching finance and doing some other things. Now, Dale Carnegie said that when people look at us, there's four things that they see. Imagine that you go up to a house, you're taking a walk through your neighborhood, and you walk past a house, and you see something through the window, right? Well, this house is you, and the window is what Dale Carnegie calls the window of credibility. How credible are you? Dale Carnegie says there's four things. Four things determine our credibility. How we look, what we do, what we say, and how we say it. Those are the four components of the window of credibility. So when somebody's looking at you, they're looking into the window of your professional life, they're going to be judging you on 4 things. How we look. How do we present ourselves? Now, obviously, that varies from company to company, what the requirements are. Is this a business professional environment where I wear a suit and tie every day to work? Or is it a business casual environment? Is it a casual environment? When do you learn that? When do you figure that out? Those of you who are employed, when did you figure out what the dress code was at work? I mean, when you went to an interview, hopefully you looked around and you said, okay, well, here I am on site for an interview. Let me look around and pay attention to how folks are dressing, how folks are behaving. Is everybody sitting at their desk on their phone, or are they focused on their work? We learn those things that way. So when we look at people and we see how they present themselves, that is one of the ways that people judge our credibility. Now, we have expectations here on campus, whether you know it or not. There are expectations for how our undergraduates are going to dress and present themselves. We can't have offensive messages, images on clothing, etc. But there's going to be a higher standard for you as graduate students. One of the things that you need to understand is that as graduate students, faculty members are going to have greater expectations of you, and it begins with how you present yourself. I'm not saying you need to put on the tie when you come to class, but you probably don't need to wear your ripped up jean shorts. If you're Mr. Hat Backwards, probably don't need to do that, because that sends a particular message to the faculty member that you're not serious about your program of study. One of the things you'll learn about faculty members, and I'll tell you about me, when I was an undergraduate, I loved finance. And I went to work at a hospital for a very short period of time, and I did a whole bunch of analysis on should we buy this piece of equipment or not, how long is it going to take us to repay, all that kind of stuff. And then I said, you know what, I want to learn more. So I went back to graduate school, and I got an assistantship, and somebody paid me to learn about finance. And then I got a job where I get to talk about finance, and I get to teach finance, and I get to research into finance. So I like finance. I'm pretty serious about it. Right? Your marketing professors are serious about marketing. Your accounting professors are serious about accounting. And you want to present yourself to them as if you are a serious person. This isn't, a 5th year of undergraduate. This is something different now. So how we look. Think about how you're going to present yourself. We have a lot of talk out there about personal branding. Anybody heard anything about personal branding? Creating a personal brand? We have a faculty member here named Dr. Don Roy who's actually written a book about personal branding. You might want to check it out. That's one of the ways that you establish your personal brand, is how you present yourself. Okay? The fact of the matter is that if you have facial piercings, you're probably not going to get a client-facing job at a place like UBS. They're just not going to have it. If you have visible tattoos, you're probably not going to get a client-facing job at Disney. They're not going to have it. Okay? Now, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't have a piercing or you shouldn't have a tattoo. I'm just saying you need to be aware that all that stuff is part of the judgment process that employers have. And if you haven't run into it yet, you might one day. How we look is the first thing. What we do. Okay. Are we prepared? Are we prepared for class? Are we prepared for our group meetings? I'm not just talking about how Dr. Sequoia is going to judge you on the professionalism class that he teaches. I'm talking about how your group members are going to judge you. Are you reliable? Are you serious? Or are you going to be the person that nobody wants to work with because you're always late and you're never prepared? Now is the time to decide who you're going to be. Okay. What we do. Are we prepared? Are we on time? Do we participate? Do we contribute to the productivity of the group, of the class? Right? These are things that you can control. This is not about your IQ. This is about your work ethic. And you demonstrate that work ethic, and faculty members will be more than happy to write a letter of recommendation for somebody who works hard, for somebody who's productive, for somebody who is a participant. And sometimes those letters of recommendation can make the difference in getting a job, a better job, or not. Respectful and courteous interaction. You may go when you're ready. Yeah, sure. Respectful and courteous interaction. I mentioned the story about the new hire who wrote the email to the CEO, "Hey, Dave." Probably not the way you want to start off your first interaction with the CEO of the company. Likewise, it's probably not the way that you want to start your interaction with a faculty member. "Hey, buddy, I've got a couple questions. Can I stop by your office?" If I get that email, I send a message back, "I think you want to start this over." Now, there's some faculty members who are going to say, "Call me by my first name." Some of them are going to say, "Call me Mr. or Ms." Some are going to call me, say, "I earned a doctorate. I want to be called doctor or professor." It's always better to err on the side of more formal, and then they'll tell you, "You know what? Call me Steve." Right? Start off with respectful, courteous interaction, and you will be establishing your credibility even further. Ethical conduct. Every single major corporation out there has a statement of ethics and a list of questions that they tell their employees that they need to think through before they make a decision. Basically, what it boils down to is, have I considered other people's points of view? Have I considered regulation? Have I considered company policy? But most of all, have I tried to be empathetic? And if you get down to the questions, that's what they're really trying to get you to do. Are you making those types of decisions? Are you behaving in an ethical way? If everybody knew that I was about to do this, how would I feel about that? The last bullet point over here is business appropriate behavior, and that gets to what we say and how we say it on the Dale Carnegie window. You are graduate students. It is expected that when you write an email that you will proofread it before you hit send. It is expected that you will use professional language when you write an email, a report, a memo, an essay answer on a test. That's just an expectation that we have of you. It's great to write a certain way when you're texting. I use a lot of text when I communicate with people. When I'm communicating with my friends via text, I can use a type of communication that I would never put in an email to the faculty in the Jones College. It is time for you to start demonstrating that, because how we get good at all this stuff is that we put it to practice. I can tell you 1,000 key points of how to live a fantastic life, and if you don't put any of them to practice, they're not going to work for you. So in addition to learning more about economics, finance, accounting, information systems, business administration as a whole, there are also some things that are not in the book. And these are things that are not in the book. You're establishing your credibility, you're demonstrating professionalism, you're getting that ready to put into practice. Again, I'm not saying that you need to wear a shirt and tie or a dress suit with a skirt every day to class. I heard a story the other day about a personal coach who tells his clients that every day they need to try to do things 10% better. Every day I need to do things 10% better. Well, now is your opportunity, as part of this program, to do everything 10% better. Every email you write, try to make it better. Every report you do, every homework assignment, try to be better. And if you try to be better, then what you'll be doing is you'll be better prepared, you'll be on time, you'll be turning stuff in on time, you'll be able to participate more, you'll be more productive, and you will be presenting yourself in a much more professional way. So again, the expectations for you as graduate students are higher now than they are for our undergraduates. And so this is part of that. So when you write me an email and say, do I have to come to class today? I don't ever I've taught classes in the last 2 years, I've taught classes in both the MBA program and the Master's of Science and Finance program. I've not taken attendance one time, right? But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, in our MBA program, the finance sequence, about 75 to 80% of our finance sequence is not in any textbook. It is financial modeling. It is an approach that has been developed in conjunction with professionals in Nashville. They said, this stuff in the books, we're not using this anymore. You need to be teaching them something else. So we've had faculty members who have geared up, and we're teaching stuff that UBS uses every day. But that's not in a book. So if it's not in the book, where are you going to get it? Got to come to class. Okay? If you miss class, it must be something important. It's your choice. You're an adult. Okay? Do I have to do this? Probably not a good message to send. Right? So let me leave you with this. Beginning today, you have the ability to make yourself over, to begin the process of becoming who you want to be, to begin the process of becoming the credible professional person that you'd like to be seen as. Among your peers, among the faculty, and among stakeholders, employers. Today's your opportunity. So I hope that you will take advantage of it. I hope that you will be as serious about that piece of the graduate education as you will be about the academic side of the graduate education. And if you will be serious about it, then you will be successful. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Salter. I appreciate that. This was very important for us to have this segment because, like I mentioned to you, this is the only professional school in the college, and we want you to come out of here as professionals. Some of your program advisors will talk to you about this. I will talk to the MBA students more about this, but this is very important. I'm going to go through a few slides with you about some things that you need to know. This information should be in your folder, but again, please pay attention to the following things, all right? I mentioned the degree plan, okay? Before you start, okay, your semester, you need to make sure you have that degree plan signed. Some of your advisors will do that today. Some of them probably have done that already. I know Allison has done that for some of the MBA students. All right, this is important. You must maintain a 3.0 GPA, which is a B. All right, this is very important. And for you to graduate from Jones College and from MTSU, you have to have a cumulative GPA of what? 3.0. All right, which means if you get C's, you need to make those C's up. Right, and if you get too many C's, you might be in trouble. No more than 2 C's, okay, in graduate class is allowed. All right, and we think it's important for you to know this now before you start your program. All right, If you have a GPA that is less than 3.0, you will get a letter from the College of Graduate Studies. You will also get an email or a phone call from your program advisor to talk to him or her about why your GPA is down. If you get more than 3 semesters of probation, you will be suspended. That means that you will no longer be a student at MTSU. Okay, that means you will not get a degree. All right, we don't have too many people go that route. All right, but you need to be aware of the fact that you have to have those grades, okay, and make sure that you don't have probation, all right? You must file an intent to graduate before you graduate. And I know people, life is busy, you are doing so many things, and you go like, I'm going to finish in May. And now it's 1 week before graduation, and you come to Allison, you come to myself, and you go, where do I get my gown? And we go, you're not graduating. And you go, I'm graduating. Grandpa and grandma are coming. And we go, you didn't file intent to graduate. And you go, oh, I have to do that? All right, so now you know. All right, you need to file your intent, okay, to graduate, okay, 2 weeks of your final semester, all right? You must complete an exit interview, all right? We do that 2 ways. We'll send you electronic survey, which you need to complete. Then you will talk to your program advisors, okay? Like last 2 weeks of your final semester, okay, you will set up an interview and they will ask you questions and get your opinion about the program. These are the things that we do to help what? Continuous improvement. Understand? So you need to be aware of that. So those are the things that you need to know in terms of your last semester, okay, of requirement. Again, this is something that Dr. Douglas mentioned, but Allison has also put this together. A full-time student for graduate school, 9 to 12 credit hours. Half-time, 5 to 6 credit hours. If you have an assistantship, I think you have to have at least 6 hours, okay, for you to continue to maintain your assistantship. And you also need to maintain your grades, all right? Now, you don't have to be a full-time student, you know. You can take, most of you are working, you can take 1 class, okay, at a time, that's fine. But you need to make sure that if you're getting financial aid, okay, you need to meet the minimum number of hours to be, to be eligible for financial aid. I'm not going to read all of this to you, and I also know that my time is running out. But you need to know that. If you want to take more than 12 hours in a particular semester, you need to fill out a form that allows you to take more hours, okay, in that semester. Those of you that are in the cohort program for the MBA, you will have to do that. Okay, and we will do the paperwork for you so that you can make sure that you take the number of hours that you need to take. You have 6 years. If you start the program, which is on Monday, right, or Monday, a week from Monday, when you start classes, right? If you start this semester, you have 6 years to complete. All right? Very, very long-suffering place, all right? So take your time, all right? And sometimes life happens. Okay, you get transferred, you get married, you have a baby, something happens, and you don't get to finish in 6 years. Then you need to ask for an extension, okay, to finish your program. But you have 6 years to finish. If you go to school fall and spring, you're fine. If you miss out a fall or you miss out a spring semester, then you need to reapply for admission. All right? If you skip the summer, that's fine. Okay, but if you skip a spring or a fall semester, you need to do a readmit, and that is not a problem to do. So please make sure that you follow that. All right? Let's see. Registration guidelines. Okay, this. All the dates that you need, that particular, what's that called, URL here. Okay, that website, that link will tell you all that you need, okay, every semester. All right, information about registration, how to get classes, all of those things, okay, are there. One of the things that people miss out is you need to confirm that you are going to school and pay your, what do you call it, pay your fees. I think what, 23rd? When do you pay, when did they pay? Next week?
If you registered back when priority registration started through today, then you need to make sure that you have confirmed your attendance.
Okay.
If you have not, your schedule may be deleted on Monday. So if you have not done that, I would really encourage you to take a look at that online today in Pipeline.
Okay. Confirm that you're coming to school. All right, just because you're registered and you don't confirm doesn't mean you're coming. So you got to do that, okay, before Monday. All right, very important. Confirmation. Let's see. MTSU email. Everybody has that. This is what your faculty, this is what your professors, okay, will use to communicate with you. This is what we in our office will use to communicate with you. You need to use your MTSU email. Technically, we're not supposed to communicate with you with your Gmail or Yahoo or AOL, or if you're in the last century, your Juno, okay? We don't need, you all know what that is? Some of you do, all right? MTSU email, okay? And continuously check that, all right? Also, for everybody, okay, getting familiar with D2L is very important. All your coursework, all your assignments will probably come through D2L, so you need to know how to access D2L. Communication, okay, with faculty members, okay, using that. This is information on how you access D2L. It is not that difficult, okay? There is going to be a template for every class that's going to look very similar, but there is instruction here on how to access D2L and get on all the, what do you call it, on all your courses, all right? Let's see. MT1 Stop is the building east of here, what, 3 buildings east of here that you need to be familiar with. That is where you get information on financial aid. That is where you get your transcripts. Trying to make payments for school, okay, that is why they call the place, okay, One Stop, all right? And that is a building that you need to be familiar with, all right? Let's see, ID, you need to get that blue card, blue ID card. Some of you have that already. Once you pay, you should have that, all right? Parking permit, some of you get that, all right? Some of us call those hunting permits, okay? It's for you to hunt for a parking spot on campus, okay? If you don't get one and you get a ticket, you have to pay that, all right? So, but they were here this morning and the office is located also, what do you call it, on Main Street, and you can get your parking permit. If you come into school at night and you get here, what do you call it, around 6 o'clock, you will need a parking permit, all right, for you to park. So that is very important. If not, you will get a ticket, and we do not take care of tickets, all right? I want to mention this. No matter what your program is, there are opportunities for study abroad. Now, some programs kind of emphasize this. Some do not as much. Okay, but we do have opportunities for students, both graduate students and undergraduate students, to do a study abroad. There are 3 main ones, okay, in the College of Business that you can participate in. The first thing you need to do is to make sure you talk to your program advisor to see whether this will count towards your degree. For most students, it will count as an elective. There's one in China, International Management, which I lead and I've led for the last 4 years, okay, or 5. All right. There's one that accounting students go to. I think about 17 graduate students from accounting and undergraduate students. They go to UK and France, okay, what a way to suffer for school. Also, there is one that goes to the Scandinavian countries, right? Finland, Sweden, and Estonia, and that is in international business. So there are opportunities for this. You can talk to your program advisor. You can come talk to me about this. And one good thing that we do is this. The school will give you some scholarship if you apply for it. The College of Business for the last 10 years will give you $1,000 just because you are what? A College of Business major to do a study abroad. Most of them run like 2 weeks. So even if you work, it is possible for you to do what? Get some time off work to go. The one to China goes in May, like in the last 2 weeks in May. The one to UK goes like middle 2 weeks in May. The one in to Finland, Sweden, and Estonia will go like in June. All right. Again, you can get more information about this and also from the Study Abroad office. We have a Jones College of Business Fall Conference. It's coming up September 27th at 28th. You see, it's all right there, okay? Okay. All right, it's coming September 28th. It is free for you to go. It's a good opportunity to network with employers, with alums, okay? And so if you can take off work, okay, to be there, that would be a good thing. We also have
I just want to interject, that is a great opportunity for networking. If you're able to go, it is free for you as a student. It's going to be held at the Embassy Suites here in Murfreesboro. The speakers are always great. Last year, it was, I don't remember his name, but it was one of the gentlemen from Shark Tank who spoke.
Yeah.
We also had another speaker as well. Great opportunity. So if you're able to, take advantage of that.
Do you know what time it runs on that day?
I think it starts at 11 o'clock. It starts at 11 o'clock, from 11 to 2. Oh. Right. And it's free food and free, free conference, good networking opportunity, all right? Also, we do have other opportunities for networking. There is going to be, a career fair, November 2nd. So you can all kind of write that down. It's from 1 to 4. You'll get more information, opportunities to meet employers, even if you're already employed. We'll also have opportunities to do, mixers. Most of the time we do this at the Boulevard, across the street. All kind of opportunities to meet other people outside of class is very helpful. All right, and we will inform you. So again, look at your email to make sure that you get those opportunities. All right, okay. And if I miss anything, I'm sure we'll send email to you. I need for you to be to take down the date for the career fair. It's November 2nd. It's only for graduate students, okay, in the College of Business, okay, and it's from 1 to 4, okay, and you'll get more information, okay, about that. All right. Internship opportunities are available in almost every program in the graduate school. And people talk about this a whole lot. If you get an internship, it gives you a leg up in terms of getting what? A job. And you can incorporate this, okay, as part of your program. Career development, I just mentioned the career fair, all right? Okay. I think I'm about done with all of these major things, okay? This True Blue, this is what MTSU says, okay? This is what we believe. All that stuff that Dr. Salter puts up there, okay, is part of being True Blue, okay? And so that is the general information, okay, that you all need, okay, as Jones College graduate students. The next person I'm going to introduce to you, she is going to make you move around, okay? We've done this now. Dr. Raffo, this is what, the 4th year? The 4th year we're doing this. This is actually the highlight of the orientation, all right? Dr. Raffo is a professor of management, okay, and she's helped us to facilitate Strength Finder assessment. She is going to tell you a whole lot more about it, okay? But I also need for you to know this, especially those of you in the MBA program. You are going to use this throughout your program, the information you get today. We send information to you to do an assessment, right? Some of you have done that. You have your results with you. Okay, she's going to lead us through how to use this. 5 years ago, I knew about this. 4 years ago, I drank the Kool-Aid. Okay? This is very helpful. Some of you have done this in your places of work already. People use this, and so we're going to take advantage of Dr. Raffo being an expert in facilitating this this morning. So please welcome Dr. Raffo from the professor. Okay?
Thank you. So good morning. Good morning. How many of you have thought or been told your whole life that to be a good leader, you need to work on your weaknesses. You need to be well-rounded. Anybody? Yeah. Well, guess what? That's wrong. And I'm going to share with you why that's wrong and what we now know about what makes people, the best leaders, the best. And it comes from the work, Donald Clifton actually began this work back in the 1940s. And there's a lot of different versions of this book. I see this one. So Strengths Finders, and there's Strengths-Based Leadership. And so one of the things that Clifton said is individuals gain more when they build on their talents, when they make comparable efforts than when they make comparable efforts to improve their weaknesses. So we're going to talk about what it means to lead from your strengths this morning and for you to think more about what your strengths are. How many of you all have already completed the Strengths Finder assessment? Oh, good. Oh, good. Yay. All right. We're in good shape then. So let me give you a little bit of the background on it. So Gallup has been studying this for quite some time, over 30 years, and they've conducted over 2 million interviews and asking people what makes them excel at something. And they've interviewed people who are the best in their fields, the best in their industries, to find out what makes them so good at what they do. And what they found is that there are basically 34 common themes or strengths that folks have that make them the best of the best. Now, there are some strengths that people have that didn't make that top list of 34 because they're not very practical. An example of that is being able to see things in slow motion. Anybody have that strength? Nobody? Turns out if you're a professional hockey player, that's a really good strength to have. But most of us don't have that kind of strength. We have strengths in arranging things, or strengths in analyzing things, or gathering information, or in relationships. So there's these decades of research that have gone into studying the best of the best. So why do strengths matter? More likely to be engaged in the workplace. People who work from their strengths are 6 times more likely to be engaged in the workplace. If you're not working from your strengths, you're more likely to be disengaged. Does this look familiar? Anybody working at a place where you see a lot more people who are disengaged than who are engaged? You say that's pretty common. It is. And a lot of times that's because there are different reasons for that, but it can be because we're not able to use our strengths regularly. In fact, only about 70% of people say that they get to use their strengths only once a week. Teams that focus on their strengths are also more productive. And in general, we're more satisfied. Our quality of life is better when we're able to work from our strengths. So why in Jones College do we care about your strengths? Why are we talking about this? There are two things that hold the secret to success in life. Is there someone who cares about my professional and personal development? And do I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day? And in Jones College, we are committed to your professional success. And helping you to understand your strengths is one way that we can help you in your professional development. It's a way for you to understand how you learn better, how you lead others, and to even figure out what is going to be a good match for you when you are looking at your career path or your job path. So, y'all have a handout that looks like this. Go ahead and get it out. And what I'd like for you to do is in this left-handed column, sign your name 5 times. Now, switch hands. And in the right column, sign your name 5 times. What's so funny? Okay, come on. You're awfully slow. Okay, stop. Okay, so what that feel? I mean, Rachel, no, come on, Rachel.
I mean, it's missing both of them, but.
I will have to say Peyton's pretty much looks the same. If you can see his signature. What did that feel like? Felt awkward. What else? It was hard. What? Unnatural. Why were you laughing? Why? Corey's is beautiful. Actually, Corey's. Are you like ambidextrous? Have you ever broken your arm? Has anybody ever?
I always wanted to be. This is weird, but my mom and my sister are left-handed, so I used to feel left out.
Oh, so you would practice. Okay. Has anybody ever broken their dominant arm and had to? Yeah. It didn't help. Okay. So this is the idea of using our strengths and trying to compensate for our weaknesses. So when we're using our strengths, it's natural. We don't have to think about it. It just happens. Working from our weaknesses doesn't feel natural. It's harder. Often the result does not look so good. It takes longer. Wesley said when you broke are you right-handed? You broke your arm. He's even practicing, it never quite felt right. Yeah. That's what it's like when we're working from our weaknesses. So we might improve, might get a little bit easier, but it's still not going to be as natural as working with our dominant hand or dominant arm. So stand up. You can put your pen down. So I'm going to give you some things to think about. You're going to be on a continuum here. Thumbs up and thumbs down. So thumbs up will go on this side, thumbs down on this side, and you might be somewhere in the middle. So tonight, I'm extending an invitation to attend a party with a bunch of people you don't know. Thumbs up, this side of the room is like, all right, I can't wait. I love meeting new people. Tell me where it is. I'm looking forward to it already. On this side of the room, walk over to this side of the room if you're like, oh, please don't make me do this. I cannot stand going to a party where a bunch of people really, and I don't know anybody. I don't want to. It's not my thing. Or maybe you're in somewhere in the middle. So move along your row on where you are in the continuum. Okay. So Corey was like, you're marching over here. Like, nobody's like coming out to the windows like, oh, I can't, I am so ready. Like, but you all are like, here's the party people, meeting new people, yeah. Yes, it's your thing. Sounds like fun. Quite a few people in between here. And then over here, y'all are like my husband. He's like, really? Okay, I will find my little spot and I will just sit there and I will talk to somebody I know, but I don't really want to meet any new people and I would much rather be at home watching Netflix. Yeah. Is that you?
Spot on.
That's it, okay. Yeah. Next thing, I'm going to participate in a competition. Can't wait, over on this side of the room. Love to compete. In the middle, again, we have a continuum.
Competition.
Competing, not really my thing, over here. A lot of y'all just stayed in the middle. Are you just still in the middle? Okay. Now look at these guys here. They're like, you're not just staying right here. So Elliot and Wesley, you all are like, okay, who can get the furthest out here with the competition?
We were lumped in the middle earlier. We meant to be out here.
Okay. What's your name in the back corner? Trinae. So you're like way over here, want to compete, ready to go. Lots of people in the middle. Okay, here's where I am. My husband does like to compete. He was an athlete, played baseball for MTSU, and then even played after that. He comes home from a ball game. I don't ask him if he won. I don't care. Did you have fun? That's what I ask. I have a friend whose son, Louie, she's a college friend, and her son, Louie, is now a junior in high school, and he plays soccer competitively. And in fact, his team just went and played in England this summer, and they got to play against some team. It doesn't mean anything to me. My kids don't play soccer, but she said it's basically like the Yankees of soccer in England if they had like a training team for high school kids. That's who they competed against. So he's really good. Well, I remember back when Louie was 3 or 4 and he started playing soccer and he had his very first game, and she told me about it. And Louie, anybody play soccer when you're really little or play sports when you're really young, or you have kids who've done that? And so when you're that young, it's all about like learning the rules, the skill set. You don't keep score, right? So the game's over, and they get in the car, and Louie says, "Mommy, who won?" And she said, "Well, Louie, honey, we didn't keep score. This is really about learning the rules, and it's about having fun." Louie thought about it, and he said, "Well, Mommy, who had the most fun?" Louie is very competitive as a child and is still very competitive today. Your next thing to do, I'm going to give you a very complex project to work on. If you're a person who loves the details and you're good at details, come over to this side of the room. If you are a big picture person, or you're all about the ideas, generating ideas, on this side of the room. Or maybe you're in the middle. Wow, we have a lot of ideas, detail people. Y'all like the specifics. Okay. Last thing, the Jones College of Business is going to plan a big party event for homecoming. And so the task is you're going to plan an event. If you really enjoy planning events, come over to this side. If you're not into planning events, you know, it's not going to come together if it's up to you over on this side. Or maybe you're in the middle. Yeah. So, thank you so much for your participation. You can sit down now. So this gives you an idea of where we are with our strengths. And some strengths we may really feel like, yes, that is definitely me. I am good at that and I like it. And typically when we're good at something, we like it. Or not. Or maybe we're just kind of in between. So when you took the Strengths Finder, it gave you results that gave you your 5 signature themes. Really, we tend to have more like 7, even 10. I was just recently at a conference where somebody is collecting a lot of this data. If you ask Gallup for the information, they will not give it to anybody to tell you they won't tell researchers or anybody how many strengths people really have that will like cluster at the top. They really only give 5, but somebody else is collecting data and said, really, there's a good chance you have more like 7 or even 10. So if you were to take Strengths Finders again, and I've actually taken it twice, and 3 of them came up on both of them, but ones that if I was just reading the list in the book and I thought, well, it didn't come up the first time, actually they did come up the second time. So they're probably in my top 7 or so. So turn to the next page and look at these statements. So just take a moment to reflect a little bit, to think about, well, when am I at my best? Or the best thing about me? Just jot down a couple of notes on this. What I enjoy doing most is, or the best time in my life was, the best thing about my job is, the best project I've ever been involved in is. This gives you glimpses into you being at your best or excellence, and glimpses into your strengths. Marcus Buckingham has written a lot of books about strengths and how to use your strengths in work, in personal life too, but mostly focused on work. I think he has a new book coming out in October or so. I'm going to play a short video for you to hear what he has to say about strengths.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Buckingham.
Well, welcome. And I say let's begin with some questions. And I don't know how self-assured you are or how self-aware you are or how self-reliant you are, but I'm going to bet my cotton socks that at one point in your life, you've asked yourself these questions. Maybe you ask these questions of yourself every day. Questions like, am I really living up to my potential? Questions like, am I really being as successful as I should be? And if I am I succeeding at the right things? That's always a good one, isn't it? And if I'm succeeding at the right things, how can I sustain and build and grow that success despite all the competing demands and craziness of my life? Or this one, this is always a tricky one. Am I really as good as I think I am? Maybe if they turned on all the lights, they'd find me out. Believe it or not, those are the questions that we're going to focus on in this time that we have here today. We are going to focus on those questions as far as we can, because those are the questions, I think, that really challenge us to answer the question underpinning them all, which is, how can I be lastingly successful? The answer to that question, of course, as with most questions, can be found by interviewing people that have done it. And that's what I've dedicated my career to, interviewing people that have been lastingly successful in their chosen roles. So over the last 20 years or so, I've had the great good fortune to study people who have been truly successful at their chosen role. Great doctors, great lawyers, great teachers, great salespeople, great hotel housekeepers, all manner of different people. And of course, if you lined them all up against the wall, the first thing that would strike you is just how very different they are. But if you look closer, and if you ask really good questions, you find out that they actually do all have the same approach to getting the best out of themselves. They all build on their strengths and find ways to manage around their weaknesses. So if you want to do the same, if you want to be lastingly effective in your chosen role in life, you need to build on your strengths and manage around your weaknesses. How do you do that? Well, frankly, the detail of that is the focus for this next book, Go Put Your Strengths to Work. But in simple terms, what it really means is, well, if you take a chap like me, growing up, I was always that kid who would ask questions like, well, why do we do it that way? Couldn't we do it this way? Shouldn't we do it that way? Why do we do it that way? Let's do it this way. Why do we do it that way? So I was annoying. No, but that's a strength, right? You could call that inquisitiveness or strategic thinking. On the flip side, I was terrible at confrontation, just terrible at it. I'm one of those people where the angrier I get, the less articulate I get. Now, you may be different. You may be one of those people where the angrier you get, the more articulate you get. As you find yourself getting perhaps more and more emotional, your brain gets clearer and colder as it hands you just one perfect word after another. You really are annoying. No, it's not annoying, but for me, I mean, that's a weakness of mine. So build on strengths and manage around the weakness simply for me means deliberately put yourself in situations, Marcus, where you can play to that inquisitiveness, refine it, and focus it, and then find ways to manage around the fact that you're not very confrontational. That's all that means. And I realize as I describe it that way, it just sounds so crushingly obvious. You've got to wonder why anyone would ever try to live a life in any other way. And yet you look around you, and you'll see that most of us don't choose to live our lives that way.
So it's a different way of thinking about how we work and how we lead. So what about weaknesses? So it's about managing around weaknesses. But how do we know what our strengths are? Well, you all took the assessment, but some things that can tell you what your strengths may be is this yearning. It's like, I really want to do something because I'm good at it. And maybe you've been good at it since you were young, like my friend's son Louis, very good at competing ever since he was 3 or 4 years old. Naturally drawn to it. Another clue is rapid learning. You pick up on it very easily. A third is a sense of flow. Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi was a psychologist at University of Chicago. And his work on flow is studying this state that we're in when we're in the zone. We've all been there. So when you're doing something that you're really good at and you enjoy it and you lose all track of time, you might even forget to eat because you're in this state of flow. And by using our strengths, we get that sense of flow. And the more that we can be in flow in the workplace, the more engaged we're going to be. Glimpses of excellence. You may do something and you're like, wow, now I'm really good at that. Or other people tell you, gosh, you're so good at that, I wish I could do that. How do you do that? Or it just gives you a lot of satisfaction in whatever you're good at. Those are all clues to your strengths. So then what about our weaknesses? Well, we need to know what they are, and we need to manage around them. It's not about ignoring them, but it's also not about spending a lot of time on improving our weaknesses. Just like practicing writing with our non-dominant hand, yeah, we might get a little better at it. But it's probably never going to be as good as when we're working from the place of strengths. Working through our weaknesses, we're less likely to see those glimpses of excellence when we're trying to work from places of weakness. So there's this paradigm shift. It's a very different way of thinking about leadership. And rather than thinking in terms of well-roundedness as a person, we should be thinking about having a well-rounded team. So thinking, well, what does the team need? What am I trying to accomplish? And it might be that I need people on my team who are good at strategic thinking, a person who's really good at relationships, a person who's really good in execution on my team. Or maybe I'm trying to accomplish something where everybody on my team needs to have some strengths in strategic thinking. So here are the 34 different signature themes. Go to the next sheet and write your 5 strengths down if you can remember them. And pick one right now that you think that this is probably really my top strength. And give me a description in your own words on what that looks like for you and how you use that strength. How does it empower you? And when have you recently used it? Anybody have woo as their strength? Woo? A few of you? Woo stands for winning others over. Yeah. Tell us what that looks like for you.
Well, I'm a public defender, so I'm constantly trying to...
Gotcha. Okay. Y'all may have noticed that this is Dr. Williams here. This is Mr. Wu. And so when I think of, so when I think of like recruiting, like this is who our administrators should tap into. He loves meeting new people, does not know a stranger. It energizes him, and he's really good at it.
I didn't know that.
Oh. Okay, you can leave now.
She says that about 47 people a day.
So knowing what your strengths are and claiming them and being able to describe them and say, hey, I'm really good at this. Let me take this on because I'm going to do a good job and I'm going to enjoy it. And in leadership, it's also knowing for your team, what are their strengths? And can you put people in the right place where they're going to be able to use their strengths every day or as much as possible? So these 34 themes can be put into 4 categories or 4 domains. And so we have influencing, executing, strategic thinking, and relationship building. And I'll sometimes have students who'll say, oh, Dr. Raffo, I have a strength in all 4 of those domains. Yay, that makes me like better than somebody who doesn't. I'm like, wait a minute, you're getting back to that well-rounded paradigm again. This isn't about being well-rounded. If you do have a strength in each of those domains, good for you. But you know what? If all of your strengths happen to all be in one domain, good for you. There's no best way. This is all about knowing what you're good at and figuring out how to use them. So using your strengths, managing around your weaknesses. For a team, it's figuring out how to choose your team where people can use their strengths, what is needed from the team so you can put the right people on the team. Professional development. You're going to be thinking about this in your program here with Jones College. And from a personal perspective, it helps us to understand why people act the way they do. And I have the chair of my department, Dr. Austin, once said it helped her to kind of give people a break. It's like when she needed a volunteer to do something and somebody wouldn't volunteer for it, she'd be like, why won't this person ever volunteer for whatever it was? And then a light bulb went off. It's like, that's not their strength. Going out and recruiting is not that person's strength. I need to tap into somebody with a woo strength or somebody who's really good at that, and because they'll enjoy it. So naming it, claiming it, and thinking about, well, how can I use this strength today? It's not perfect. There's certainly criticisms for this approach to thinking about leadership. In the real world, we often have to use our weaknesses. We can't just manage around them as much as we would like to. We have to look to how we can improve on our weaknesses. So that is certainly one of the criticisms for the strength-based leadership. But I like to think of it from the positive perspective as a way to think about, well, how can I be my best every day? How can I leverage my strengths? And how can I look at other people's strengths and those people around me and help to bring out the best in them every day as well? So thank you. I wish you all the best in your journey at MTSU.
I do hope that if this is your first time going through that you've kind of follow up and take advantage of this and use later on. Like I mentioned to you, all the MBA students, you will be doing this every semester. Kind of follow up with what you learn, and we're trying to leverage that.